My name is Bill Pena. Definitely, environment does play a major role in like you said, the character development of children. Um, Obviously, if you're exposed to something day in and day out, uh, in some way, shape, or form, you end up uh, kind of being, or without maybe you even noticing or realizing it, you kind of become part of that environment. Um, so definitely, like in my context, for me growing up, um, I remember I would look outside my window and I would see gang members. I would see police raiding houses, and one of my uncles, he was a gang member. So I just thought it was the coolest thing when I used to see him in the lowriders and picking us up from school, and just the respect that people gave him. It was something that I admired. And I yeah, that environment. And I'm not saying for everybody, because I do have friends that I grew up with that, they had their father in the picture. So I think it's so important for that father figure, that positive father figure to be in the home, because most of my friends that had fathers, they didn't join gangs. They obviously received that love and that discipline from that father. I'm not saying that a woman cannot do it, because I do know mothers that are single mothers that are very strong, and but it's just more, it's something about having a father in the picture that really it makes a big difference. But definitely, environment does play a major role in character development. You adapt to your environment. And a lot of times in the inner cities, that environment is usually drug infested areas, gang infested areas, single mother homes, alcoholics. So a lot of times these young children growing up, they look at, like, man, what are my options? Either I'm going to be a gang member, a drug addict, an alcoholic, or a woman beater. And that's all they see day in and day out. So they believe that that's normal. That's a normal life, because they've never been exposed to anything outside of that environment. So definitely it does. I think my mother, without realizing it, just the way that she lived her life, it really, like you said earlier, the seeds were planted in my life, without me even realizing it. Her just her work ethic, her, working 3 jobs. I work one job and I get home tired. So sometimes I think to myself, like, how did my mother do it? Like, how can you work 3 jobs? And she did it, obviously out of necessity, because she had my brother and I at home. So she did everything that she could so that we would have the things that we needed. Um, and yeah, her work ethic was amazing. And I think now, looking back, without me even realizing, she embedded that work ethic in me as well. Because I since I started working, it's I love to wake up early. I love to be at work on time, be dependable. And so yeah, definitely, I can see that impact that she had. That's such an interesting analogy that you use, because it's so true. I never really thought of it that way, but it's definitely true. When what you pour into children, it's so crucial. It's so important. A lot of times we don't realize, that children absorb everything. They observe, they look at you, and they mimic, people that they look up to. And yeah, definitely, education, especially in the earlier years, in the earlier stages of a child's life. I mean, I don't have a degree in child development or anything, but from my own personal experience, I can see in hindsight how it affected my life, you know. But you know, and that's why I strive. Like I said before, I'm not a perfect man. I'm flawed, just like every other man. Um, but I think that it's that the flaws that I have that keep me grounded, and they keep me remember striving for more in my life. But I try to be a positive role model for the children that are put in my life, you know, because I want them to see that there's more than just gangs, that there's more than just a drug addiction, alcoholism. Um, I want them to see a man that gets up in the morning, goes to work, uh, uh, tries to live his life as best as he can. And my hope is that those seeds, like you said, maybe not now, but in the future, they'll flourish, you know. So it's very important in the early stages of life, you know, like you said, the education that they get, or the influence that they receive as children, it's better to lay the foundation right the first time, like you said, because renovations are more expensive, right? You have to tear it down, you have to pull permits, you have to make sure that you get everything engineered. So it's like you have a house, a foundation that was laid, but if that foundation is rotten, then the house is not going to stand. But if and I remember my mom, she always used to tell me it's a proverb, and she would say that you train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he gets old, he won't depart from it. And it's so true. Like, I never understood it, but it's so true. If you train a child to be a man or a young woman of integrity, when they grow up, they're gonna go back to that. They're gonna remember what's right and what's wrong. So you lay that foundation when they're young, that house is gonna stand and it's gonna be solid. It doesn't mean that there's not gonna be storms. There's always gonna be storms, but at the end of those storms, when the winds pass, that house is gonna remain firm because they have the foundation and they have the tools that they need to succeed in life. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that analogy, by the way. That's a good one.